Hi everybody! So as I said in my previous video, this is going to be the final Codex video, at least before I beat the game. So by now you know the drill. If you're not interested in Codexes, feel free to skip over this video, and go right into the next video. But if you want to hear some interesting stuff, hopefully, please do stick around. Finding a home. Battle on the Archon's flagship. You saved the Krogan trapped aboard the Archon's flagship, but only by leaving Solarian Pathfinder Reka behind. Yes, we did. A crew like no other. Nakmor Drak. A mid-level politician named William Spender was the one who talked the Krogan into putting the Nexus mutiny under false pretenses. Drak and Kesh both suspect Spender is connected to exiles, but can't prove it. They asked you to help investigate. In a hard-fought battle in the Varakin, you impressed Drak by putting the lives of his fellow Krogan ahead of the Solarian Pathfinder. But you truly earned his friendship after helping him recover a Krogan transport carrying seeds essential for his colony's future. Drak killed the smuggler known as Aroan in retaliation for his crimes against the Krogan, but only after you gave the okay. After helping Drak secure the stolen seed vault, the two of you let off a little steam over drinks in Kadara, but it wasn't a date. One wild bar fight later, you and Drak have a bond no chair can break. Through all these misadventures, Drak's been showing his age. The old Krogan's already half bought, with all the synthetics keeping him upright. And Kesh fears that her grandfather's gunning for a not-so-early grave. Oh. Cora Harper. You and Cora have become close after the events on Ark Lucinia. You and Cora have become confidants as well as colleagues. She's clearly glad to have you as a friend. Should I read the rest of these? I thought all the other ones were already there. After earning Drak's respect on Eos, he agreed to join. Yeah, I think I already read all of those. You persuaded the Asari to replace Sarissa Theris with her second, the less experienced Videria Demalia as Asari Pathfinder. Challenging her hero in public has clearly been painful for Cora. Since your gardening trip to Eos, Cora is much calmer and more optimistic about her future, even if it doesn't involve being a Pathfinder. She's ready to move forward. You and Cora have the utmost trust and respect for each other and make a strong team. Kalojath. I think Kalojath has nothing new. You and Liam have been through a lot together. His methods sometimes invite risk, but you generally agree. Not really, but okay. And Liam thinks rescuing his contact Varand went a long way to making Pathfinder mean something for everyone in Helios, if not just the initiative. You've really helped Liam find his niche, his niche, and it's clear he'd do anything for you or the initiative. His particular brand of diplomacy continues to be an asset. Lexi Tapero. Lexi's concerned about the extent of Sam's control over your body. While she trusts both you and Sam, the fact remains that the AI can stop your heart on command. Yeah, it can. You and PB have become closer, but you opted not to start a sexual relationship with her. That's right, PB. Helping PB pursue her interest and resolve a painful chapter in her past has created a solid bond of trust. You supported PB's decision to sacrifice the mysterious remnant device and save her erstwhile friend, Kalinda. PB has wholeheartedly embraced her place on the Tempest and your team. She's become a trusted teammate and inseparable friend, who would rather explore the galaxy's mysteries with you by her side. Vetra Nix. She confided in you when Sid's and Vetra's father abandoned them, she had to raise Sid alone. Her life has been spent keeping her sister safe and giving her the best life possible in their circumstances. If the initiative fails, Vetra will have failed Sid. She refuses to accept that outcome. Turns out, Sid's not content in just sitting around letting Vetra do all the work. Inspired by Vetra, Sid's taken it upon herself to help build the home she wants to see with unforeseen consequences. Vetra has had to come to terms with the reality of her sister growing up and learning that she can no longer be responsible for protecting Sid from everything. The best she can do is offer guidance, what Sid needs most. With your recent successes against the Ket, Vetra has really begun to believe that, despite all that's come before, you have a chance to make it in Helios. She showed you a quiet spot on the cliff overlooking Kadara Port and expressed her pride at being part of your team and hopefully a friend. Gil Brody. You've left Gil to his job taking care of the Tempest systems, which seems to keep him busy. You and Gil have bonded outside of work and are developing a friendship. Just a friendship? You opted not to use Sam's help in the poker game, and Gil thrashed you effortlessly. You and Gil are forging a close bond, and he's confiding in you and exploring major issues. Deepening the bond between you, Gil has introduced you to his best friend, Jill. He confessed that he's interested in you romantically, and you let him know that the feeling is mutual. Suvi. It's clear, You and Suvi have also spent some time talking about her respective families. Suvi's parents were both academics and inspired her to begin her journey in science. It's clear Suvi misses her family and occasionally experiences deep regret after having left them to pursue adventure. Taking it out seems to help. Talking it out seems to help, and she finds her chats uplifting. Jal appreciates the time you spent with him, learning about him and his people. He's also incredibly grateful for the part you played in rescuing the Moshai. He really likes that you took his advice in the Kit facility. Angara, don't hide their feelings. Your friendship will grow. You listened to Jal when he asked you not to kill Aksul, no matter what. He's moved by the faith and trust that you had in him, and the foundations of your friendship will grow stronger. Agent of Change. A new path. You convinced former Spectre Avitus Rix to take up the mantle of Turian Pathfinder and lead his people in their settlement of the Helios Cluster, a devil's bargain. You followed Salen's advice on your own sense of justice, arresting Dr. Aiden, even though it meant losing tactical intel on the Ket. The First Generation. You secured Dr. Zoe Jean Kennedy and her son, the first human child born in Andromeda. For the safety of all concerned, the young family will live on the Nexus, a punishment to fit the crime. After proving that William Spender was conspiring with Nexus mutineers, you sent the Assistant Director of Colonial Affairs to jail, knowing he'd never survive life on the run from his former associates. And the Primus offer. You expose a rift between the Primus and the Archon, suggesting the Ket are not as uniform in their beliefs as they might appear. Rider. Ongoing pathological profile. Pathfinder Rider. From the files of Tempest physician and psychologist Dr. Alexi Tapero. Rider, I've completed a more thorough evaluation. For now, this is what I'm delivering to Pathfinder HQ. I may send you updates later. You exhibit heart and empathy in many situations. Also, the passion that you bring to your role as Pathfinder does not go unnoticed by those who work alongside you. In fact, you may be a key component in drawing others to you. Perhaps it would be more fair to say that I've noted that you are more impulsive with your affection, but not as impulsive in the field. I'd include this in my report. This is just between us. Perhaps I should note that you are more impulsive in the field than you are with your affection. What the heck? Whatever that means, we can keep that between us. These are like polar opposites of each other. These are completely polar opposites. I feel like this is the game thinking that we're somewhere in between. I would add, I'm split in the middle. I would add, although you had to quickly adjust to take on a new and unexpected role, you maintain a direct and professional demeanor. My guess is that your former military training and subsequent experience with command structure is serving you well here, or perhaps a solid and respectful approach to things is just your nature. The ties that bind. You were honest with Sarah about the struggles you faced fighting home. By unlocking your father's memories within Sam, you discovered that your mother, Ellen, is still alive and in stasis aboard the Hyperion. You also discovered the truth about the Reaper threat to the Milky Way. Yeah. Exploring Helios, a power play for Kadara Port. I already read that one. In Ancient Mind, you obeyed the wishes of the ancient Angaran AI on Vold and destroyed it, the Krogan exiles. By giving the remnant drive core to Morda and the Krogan colony, you convinced them to join the initiative. We have an outpost on Eladin thanks to your bold choice. This is actually not that hard of a choice for Skylar. Fueling exploration. You drove off the outlaws off HO-47C and secured enough helium-3 fuel to keep Nexus shuttles flying for the next 3 centuries. That's amazing, actually. Not a small feat. The Andromeda Initiative. Sam. Self-examination. Recent removal of memory blocks has shed further light on my creation. Alec Ryder built me in part to help his wife, Ellen Ryder, survive a terminal illness later classified as AEND. He hoped that my ability to affect my host's physiology could either prolong her life or help him to discover a cure. Though this hope was not fulfilled, Alec Ryder later integrated this ability into my core design. Sarah eventually awoke safely. Medical records show slow but promising improvement in her condition. The initiative. Details on the current situation in the Milky Way are sparse and impossible to confirm. A non-QEC signal in either direction, traveling at light speed, would take 2.5 million years to arrive. The lens, new aid initiatives, blah blah. Okay. The Nexus. William Spender. When the Nexus first arrived in Andromeda, and an uprising arose among the desperate crew, it was William Spender who convinced clan leader Nakmor Morda to put down the mutineers. By all accounts, it did not go well. In return for her help, Morda claims that Spender, in his authority as Assistant Director of Colonial Affairs, promised equal status for the Krogan in any decision-making by way of a seat at the Council. When the agreement came to light, Initiative Director Jarun Tan refused to honor it, and most Krogan left the Nexus. Privately reprimanded but publicly credited for helping to stop the uprising, Spender maintained his position, a step away from Nexus senior leadership. After an investigation revealed that Spender quietly helped the mutineers during the Nexus uprising, and was further using his position to smuggle Nexus supplies to key exile contacts on Kadara, he was dismissed and jailed. The Pathfinders. Pathfinder Salarian Pathfinder. As her official biography states, like most female Salarians, Zevin Reika was originally groomed for a life of political intrigue as a Dalatress. However, she broke with tradition to devote herself to exploration and the sciences. Good for her. Despite lacking an official political position, Reika's natural charisma drew followers from across Salarian space, gaining her a reputation as not only a skilled scientist but also a respected and influential leader. Reika used that influence and family connections to benefit numerous ecological projects across the Milky Way, culminating in her greatest achievement, restoring the threatened biodiversity of her homeworld, Erenli, and enabling it to support a viable population. Her success in Erenli, combined with her leadership qualities and scientific expertise, drew the attention of Alec Ryder, who encouraged her to submit her candidacy as a Salarian Pathfinder. With Reika captured and presumed dead, the role of Salarian Pathfinder went to Captain Hazier. Though inexperienced by comparison, Hazier's record shows steady and skilled leadership of the Salarian Arc. He is now conducting information gathering and research aimed at stopping Ket exaltation. Pathfinders, Asari Pathfinder. Publicly stating she was joining the Andromeda Initiative for spiritual reasons, Matriarch Ishara's centuries of diplomatic experience and popularity among the Asari made her a strong candidate as Pathfinder. In her younger years, she served the Asari Republics as a judge before joining Thessia's diplomatic corps, and was more recently the architect of peace accords that ended 7 centuries of bitter conflict with the Kormoth system. With Matriarch Ishara gone and Sarissa Theris disgraced, the junior commando Vederia Damali has taken over as Asari Pathfinder. Her service record shows few deployments, but her firearm and biotic test scores are above average, and medical records show she's adapting well to her Pathfinder implant. The Turian Pathfinder. Born in Palaven and a decorated engineer in Blackwatch, Mason Barrow was touted by the hierarchy to be a shining example of a Turian citizen. There were concerns among Initiative leadership about whether or not he would leave his comfortable life behind to become the Turian Pathfinder, but Mason was eager, so long as he could name his replacement, Abatus Rix, a former Spectre. Internal emails and screening interviews state Mason and Abatus met in the field and suggest that their relationship may be more than platonic. Mason Barrow left the Milky Way aboard the Turian Ark Natanis in 2185. Despite his initial hesitation, Abatus Rix complied with Mason's last request to take up the role of Turian Pathfinder. A grief counselor was assigned to Abatus upon his arrival at the Nexus, but he has yet to show at a session. He should. I think he would definitely benefit greatly from that. The Ark Species. Krogan Overlord Nakmor Morda. Leader of Krogan colony New Tachanka, Nakmor Morda has recently seized even more definite power and declared herself Overlord. From this position, she's able to exercise control over all aspects of the nascent colony and increase the chance of its survival. As a female, Morda's leadership and power are unique in Krogan society. Morda lived with the female clans in their camps on the Krogan homeworld Tachanka. A born leader, Morda rose to organize and coordinate many of those camps. Through sheer will and against all odds, she made them thrive as stable, self-sustaining, and comfortable places to live and raise children. Morda herself is infertile. Morda's intelligence and ambition is matched by her inherent ruthlessness. Over time, she rose in power and reputation and was able to challenge clan leader Nakmor Kronak with the right of authority. She easily bested him and became leader of Clan Nakmor. She then focused her ambitions to the betterment of the entire clan by joining the Andromeda Initiative. Andromeda Species. The Angara. Aksul. Aksul is a former student of the Moshai who was captured by the Ket while studying remnant technology on Vold. He spent a year in a forced labor camp before escaping with a handful of other prisoners. Scarred physically and mentally by this experience, Aksul turned his back on his studies and his life on Aya to form the Roakar, a xenophobic fighting force who used guerrilla tactics against both the Ket and Milky Way species. Jal describes Aksul as annoyingly magnetic and a born leader. Among all the Moshai students, Aksul learned the quickest. He was always surrounded by friends and admirers. Before his imprisonment, the Moshai believed Aksul would be the one to carry on her legacy. His change in personality hit her the hardest. By shooting Jal, Aksul disgraced himself in front of his followers. While the Roakar have not completely disbanded, Aksul has retreated into the shadows. Hopefully there's still hope for him to redeem himself. Ket, the Archon. In recent years, the Archon has taken an increasing interest in remnant technology, ordering new dig sites and touring Ket defended remnant structures. He is said to take many remnant specimens aboard his flagship for study at leisure. Those who interfere are executed on the spot or are hunted down by the Archon's sword, his mysterious and feared enforcer. According to the Moshai, the Archon is focused on Meridian, the control center for the Remnant Vault network. In his hands, Meridian could be used to devastate the planets of the Helios cluster, rendering them uninhabitable and giving him a hold over all sentient life here. Though he reportedly knows its location, the Archon has been unable to develop an interfacing method, meaning that his greater secrets of remnant technology are closed to him. It is now understood that the Archon's single-minded efforts to find and control remnant technology have diverted resources from the Ket's conquest of Helios. From gathered intelligence, the Archon's second-in-command, the Primus, believes their leader's interest in the Remnant has become an obsession that threatens their subjugation of the Angara. Ket. However, investigations show a rift between the Ket and the Helios cluster. While they remain a threat, evidence shows the Archon has prevented his subordinates from communicating with their home space, and that many have begun speaking out against him, given his obsession with the Remnant. Ket, the Archon's sword. Identified in decrypted communications, I feel like we're going to end up fighting this guy. The Ket, known as the Archon's sword, has a fearsome reputation. This is like the Kai Leng of Andromeda, is my guess. Her role... Oh, it's cool that it's a her. That's pretty awesome. Her role as the Archon's enforcer takes her across the Helios cluster to deliver edicts and quell dissent. Apex reports that those who incur the Archon's displeasure, Ket or otherwise, are pursued relentlessly by the Archon's sword, often never sighted again. In combat, the Archon's sword is said to favor cunning over brute strength. Cloaking herself with the same techniques as Ket, destined before striking fearlessly. Psychological profiles, though hampered by an incomplete understanding of Ket's psychology, suggest she's completely loyal to the Archon and his ideals. Her title has provoked discussion amongst Nexus scientists, as it either underlines her devotion to the Archon's cause, or it implies a ceremonial and historic role. It is possible that the Archon's sword represents a greater tradition within Ket society not yet understood. Culture. The Ket in the Helios cluster appear to be a military expeditionary force, separated from the rest of their culture. Only a few conclusions can be drawn about the Ket as people. Ket society appears to be a strongly regulated hierarchy. DNA evidence suggests genetic lineage is a factor in the leadership positions. These ancestral Ket lead the exalted citizens who serve in the army, sciences, or industry. Unskilled labor is performed by slaves, or, as analysis about their home space suggests, conquered vassal species. The Ket interest in the remnants implies a shared industry, but details are scarce. Culturally, the Ket are highly ritualized and ceremonial. Intelligence report shows a powerful belief in their genetic and military superiority, and a belief that it benefits lesser species. Even the Ket dialect spoken in Helios, Tonaizet, translates to speaking correctly. Wow. Wow. Exaltation is thus not a punishment, but a means to balance a disordered galaxy by sharing the Ket's genetic perfection. Primus. Second in command to the Archon, the Primus is reportedly trusted with leading many of the Ket's most dangerous factions. Apex teams have cited her as the hands-on leader at key... I didn't even realize that it was a she. At key Ket positions, and orders from her are treated as coming from the Archon himself. Her main area of responsibility appears to be managing the Ket conquest of Helios via exaltation. Inasmuch as we can determine with scant details on the Ket culture, the Primus is believed to be extremely orthodox. Intercepted and translated reports show her ordering punishments for Ket who deviate from social norms and traditions. She has also reportedly expressed concern over the need to break off military exercises or recon missions to investigate remnant technology, suggesting this is not a normal element of Ket expansion. Evidence now proves that the Primus and Archon are at odds. Investigations show that the Primus disapproves of the Archon's single-minded interest in remnant technology, believing it to be a distraction from the Ket's attempts to conquer Helios. She has repeatedly attempted to correct this focus on the remnant with little success, and appears to have no recourse left other than to replace the Archon. Ket, Behemoth. These unfortunate individuals were once Krogan. Yes. After capture, experimentation, and attempts at exaltation, they are now behemoths, bearing the characteristic white carapace of the Ket and the strength of a Krogan and feel full fury. Behemoths appear to be an early attempt at exaltation, and the process for the Krogan is yet unrefined. Unlike Exalted and Gara, whose transformation is genetically and neurochemically stable, behemoths are unable to produce enough serotonin to break out the feedback loop that results in Krogan blood rage, rendering them permanently aggressive and non-communicative. In addition, DNA samples suggest behemoths are susceptible to hypothalamic tumors, further evidence that exaltation is intended to affect the body's oxytocin production and social bonding responses. Fighting a behemoth is not for the unprepared. With a Krogan resilience to gunfire and a preference for charging into melee, Apex tactics currently revolve around multiple rocket-propelled grenades. Outlaws. Berserker. Centuries ago in the Milky Way, Krogan Berserkers served a role in the Krogan rebellions as frontal assault forces that cleared enemy dreadnoughts and besieged fortified positions. The battle cry of the famed Ravank Berserker Company was so distinctive and psychologically effective that it was often used in propaganda broadcasts. Today, Krogan who have joined outlaw bands claims to have revived Berserker tactics. Wielding powerful flat cannons, they bombard positions to intimidate enemies into breaking their line before closing in. When provoked, a berserker goes into the blood rage that gives them their name, losing higher brain functions and the ability to feel pain while unleashing devastating strikes that can snap an enemy's spine in one blow. Yeesh. Pak. Pak was stolen by Kalinda to Reeve, but now has been recovered and repaired. It is functioning normally in PV service. PV's successes in merging Remnant and Milky Way technologies is very promising, and she has begun to apply the principles involved to other systems, including those on the Tempest. Planets and locations. Eladin. Eladin is the scorching desert moon of a gas giant. Identified on the initiative charts as Habitat 2, Eladin was considered a golden world, despite its harsh conditions, because of the moon's vast mineral wealth. Tidal gravitational effects cause plumes of sodium silicate to erupt from Eladin's core, depositing unusually pure silicon sand across the surface, invaluable for manufacturing high-performance computer hardware. Orbital surveys show that, contrary to projections, Eladin is almost devoid of water vapor, making long-term settlement or mining efforts unlikely. Those who live in Eladin face a constant struggle for survival. Able to thrive in environments that would kill most organic species in days, the Krogan who departed the Nexus have established a colony on Eladin and defend their sovereign fiercely. The Nexus advises travelers to avoid Eladin if possible. After the gift of a valuable remnant core drive, the Krogan colony of New Tachanka is now allied with the Initiative. Overlord Morda shares leadership with the Initiative's assigned representative, Karist Arcana. The Nexus is gathering a negotiation team to draw up mineral and water claims on Eladin. There is no data on whom the Krogan are choosing as negotiators. The activated Remnant Vault has increased the presence of cloud-forming particulates in Eladin's sky. Though the moon is still brutally hot, moisture levels have noticeably risen, increasing ambient humidity and the likelihood of rain. The Nexus scientists advise that the inhabitants of Eladin, once starved for water, should prepare for flash floods. Yeah. The Scourge. One of those Scourge's more interesting characteristics is it appears to be artificial. Its origin point is yet to be determined, but the pattern of the tendrils and the composition of the cloud could not have been caused by any celestial event known to astrophysics. Investigations are ongoing, though slowed by the deadly conditions created by this Scourge. HO47C. This small planet was of particular interest to the Turian contingent of the Andromeda Initiative. Long-distance studies suggest HO47C was a golden world eminently suitable for dextroprotein species like Turians, earning it the designation Habitat 5. The Turian Ark Natanus set course for HO47C to ensure they would have a viable settlement site on arrival. In the intervening centuries, astronomical studies show HO47C was pulverized by debris from the erupting Scourge. The dark energy of the phenomenon increased the mass of its debris to the point that the impact shattered the planet, leaving it uninhabitable. With its magnetic field drastically weakened and much of its atmosphere lost, what remains intact of HO47C's surface is vulnerable to cosmic radiation. This has rendered the soil unable to support life, though it is a potential source of valuable helium-3. Ships and vehicles. The Ark Pachero. Ark Pachero is the Andromeda Initiative's designated vessel for transporting Solarian colonists to the new galaxy. Mirroring the design of its human counterpart, Hyperion Ark Pachero can accommodate 20,000 passengers and crew in cryogenic stasis. Pachero's development was plagued by early delays and disagreements between its senior crew and the Initiative's design team. The Solarian penchant for constantly pushing the boundaries of technology was often at odds with the realities of budgets and time constraints. At one point, it was calculated that if every vital and necessary improvement suggested by the Solarian contingent was incorporated into the Pachero's design, its launch would have been delayed until 2204 at the soonest, or the earliest. After considerable negotiation and debate, a compromise was reached, and Ark Pachero departed the Milky Way in 2185 in the initial wave of settlers under the command of Captain Lumont Hager. Following a daring infiltration mission launched by Pathfinder Ryder and his team, the Ark was safely rescued from Ket forces and returned to the Nexus. The Varakin. The Ket flagship Varakin is a heavily armed warship that serves as the Archon's central command post for the Ket incursion into the Helios cluster. Heavy main guns and exceptionally powerful kinetic barriers suggest that any frontal assault on the Varakin without a correspondingly powerful dreadnought would be suicide. The vessel appears to serve as a research center for studying new captured Milky Way species, but both Krogan and Solarian captives were encountered aboard, indicating the Archon's interest in exalting new species and acquiring their genetic traits. The Varakin also houses many of the Ket's most important remnant relics, apparently gathered and presented to the Archon for study at his leisure. This fascination was evident in the Archon's private chamber, where he kept a special collection of remnant technology and relics on display. Ark Lucinia. Its beautiful purple ship, constructed in orbit around Pyres in the Asari home system Parnitha, Ark Lucinia is named after a kingdom of wealth and learning in Asari mythology. She is built to the same specifications as her sister Ark Hyperion, with internal modifications to accommodate Asari's social preferences, and captained by Alonis Atandra. The Andromeda Initiative was initially rejected as a human-driven boondoggle by many Asari investors, and the construction of the Lucinia was met with ridicule. However, the efforts drew the attention of several matriarchs who had assisted in previous attempts to send crewed missions to Andromeda, and their impassioned extranet addresses helped turn the tide of public opinion. At her departure ceremony, Ark Lucinia was officially blessed by the Atomna Politia, an organization of Ciarists, high priestesses from across the Asari republics. Ark Lucinia traveled to the Initiative rendezvous point in 2184 and left the Milky Way as part of the initial departure wave in 2185. After reaching Andromeda and encountering the Ket, Ark Lucinia came under attack by a group of specialized Ket hunters known as the Decimation. Stolen Ket navigational data allowed the Ark to flee through the Scourge while evacuating as many civilians as possible, but constant harrying eventually forced the Ark to go into hiding until rescue arrived. After being escorted to safety, Ark Lucinia is now docked at the Nexus to offload the remaining colonists from stasis and undergo extensive repairs. Ark Natanis. Ark Natanis was constructed in orbit around Aventon, a once lucrative mining planet in the Turian home system Trebia. The Ark was named after legendary spacefarer Palix Natanis, who is believed to be the first Turian to travel through a mass relay. The Natanis is built to similar specifications as the Asari and human Arks, but with minor changes to accommodate her dextro-amino acid-based passengers. Natanis is captained by the renowned Dea Praeton of the 6th Fleet. Like most economical ventures, Turian investors were turned onto the Andromeda Initiative by their clients, the Volus. The Turian hierarchy was intentionally kept in the dark to keep the Initiative a private civilian project. Ark Natanis traveled to the Initiative rendezvous point in 2184 and left the Milky Way as part of the initial departure wave in 2185. Upon arriving in Helios, Ark Natanis hit the Scourge, causing severe structural damage. A skeleton crew was awoken in an attempt to control the situation, but all were either forced to abandon ship or were killed in action. The casualty list includes the Turian Pathfinder Mason Barrow, who died while trying to transfer Sam to the former Spectre and security officer Abatus Rix. Because the transfer process was interrupted, the Turian Sam's directives were corrupted, and the AI focused all of Ark Natanis' resources on finding and reaching HO47C, the intended Turian homeworld in Andromeda. The Ark's travels through the Scourge have left it too damaged to be returned to the Nexus. However, rescue attempts are underway to retrieve the 15,000 sleeping Turians aboard. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is that. So, thank you very much for joining me on this final Codex reading. In the next video, we're going to go into the end game. I'll see you guys then. Until then, love yourselves and love each other.